Now joining us from Washington, D.C. is Neil Irwin, author of The Alchemists Inside the Secret World of the Central Bankers. Neil, of all the institutions of government and policy, by far and away, central bankers have to keep that mystique, that sense of magic, that unknown, don't they? Because let too much light in on their decisions and their power dissipates.
I mean, that's the theory. I think what we've seen over the last few years is as these central bankers have executed programs and actions on a grand scale, deploying trillions of dollars in different forms of easing, I think that really raises the bar for what kind of public accountability they need. And the fact that they like to work in private and kind of be the man behind the curtain doesn't mean that in a democratic society we should be supportive of that or tolerate that fully.
The Fed, if you had to grade it overall, how's it done?
Through the 100 years, I think you get a B-. I think they've had some long periods of prosperity. The middle part of the 20th century, of course, the great boom of the 80s and 90s. But at the same time, they've made three catastrophic errors that you described. The Great Depression owes a large, the Federal Reserve has a large part of the blame for that. The great inflation of the 1960s and 70s also can be laid at their shoulders. It's more ambiguous in the crisis of 2008. They had poor regulation the years before the crisis. That was a major contributing factor. Once the crisis arrived, they handled it quite skillfully. Right. So I think it's overall a very mixed record. Okay,
but how much of the Great Depression and indeed the inflation of the 70s, how much of that can we say we just didn't have that level of understanding of economics and the way markets and economies work? Or am I trying to be way too charitable?
No, look, there's a lot we didn't understand. The world didn't understand in 1929, and it was the experience of the Great Depression that led to all the analysis, all the thinking that then Ben Bernanke could learn from when 2008 rolled around. And look, you understand anybody in these historical situations, we have more perfect information with hindsight than they did in real time. At the same time, there's no reason that a stock market crash in 1929 should have caused a 25% decline in output over the next 3 years. We've seen stock market declines before, and they didn't do that. The problem is the central bankers of that time at the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, the other European central banks, right, they were too conservative, they were too wedded to the gold standard to have the flexibility to really backstop their financial systems and keep this from becoming a global catastrophe.